power of the tongue is real. The power of the tongue is powerful, but yet you're saying negative things about yourself. You have something negative to say about other people, and you never have nothing nice to say. How is the power of the tongue so real and so powerful, but you're always doubting yourself? You're not confident and you don't believe in yourself. Clock it. Welcome or welcome back. It's your favorite mental health specialist and naturopathic physician, your favorite motivational teacher. And yeah, let's just get straight into it. So, in order for you to realize the power of positive self-talk, we have to ask ourselves, why do we feel so low about ourselves? You have to realize that until you're able to go to the root and until you're able to go to the source of the issues, you're constantly going to project and you're constantly going to allow other projections to affect you. So a lot of times, 99% of the time, or 98, depending on who you're asking, we experience self-doubt and insecurities from our households. It starts with the caregivers. If we don't come from loving homes, if we don't come from affection, if our parents are minorities or other races and they've been through trials and tribulations and they've been continuing to do that and nobody has confronted it, nobody's seek help, nobody's seeing therapists, nobody is trying to learn and unlearn trauma, you're going to continue to pass that on. And that then becomes a generational curse, and then now becomes within your bloodline for those of you who are religious and believe in ancestors and spirituality. And even if you don't, you pick up what you are exposed to from your household. So if your parents are beating you, they're mentally taking advantage of you, if they're not nice, if there's no communication, if you're not able to be reassured, you're going to internalize this information. And then now you start to be programmed to this information. And then now you start to be accustomed to this information. So then now this is how you live your life. And a lot of people are living their life like this. And a lot of people don't realize it's unhealthy or that it's wrong because they're only surrounded by people like this. So if you grew up in a dysfunctional household, if the people at your school, the people at your church, the people at your job are in a low vibrational setting, nobody is healing, nobody is affirming positivity, if no one's being shown love, nobody's being shown how to communicate, nobody's being shown positivity, you're going to think that it's normal. And what happens is you get around other people and you hang around other negative people, or you get around people who are positive and you have negative things to say about them. That's when you start to become envious. That's when you start to become a hater. That's where the doubt comes from, because you're not confident. You don't love yourself. You don't think highly of yourself. So when you see other people like your favorite mental health specialist, because I be getting the backhand of the stick, who are positive people, oh, she is, da, 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 da. And it's just like, no, you're deflecting, you're projecting, and we have to work on ourselves. So you need to know that you having negative thoughts, we're going to work on it. So the first thing you have to do in order for you to realize how powerful your tongue is and the power of positivity and self-talk is to accept that maybe you don't feel confident, and that's okay. Maybe you grew up, like I said, in these environments, in these, surroundings, and you no longer want to be like this. So just because people in your house didn't show you love, didn't show you affection, didn't reassure you with confidence, doesn't mean that you have to be like them. So that's the first thing. You have to make a decision. Do I want to become positive like my favorite mental health specialist, or do I want to continue to be negative? And now, of course, disclaimer, you're going to go through things in life and they're going to affect you. But once you learn how to handle situations from a positive mindset, you don't have to stay in a negative mind. Everybody in the world, you guys, is not suffering. Everybody in the world is not in poverty. Everybody in the world is not struggling. And I know there's this whole narrative of making it seem like everyone is poor and there's wars and these crashes. The good majority of people are wealthy, healthy, and they're not dealing with those things. Now, this doesn't mean that they don't have problems, but speaking from experience on being on the other side of the coin and seeing both sides, it's more people that are positive and there's more people that are being uplifted. And I know it may be hard for, like I said, a lot of people to realize that if you're not used to that. So you have to make a decision. When you watch these videos, are you going to be intentional? Are we going to decide that we want to uplift ourselves? Are we willing to unlearn and let go of things that we've been programmed from our family and our friends? Or are we going to continue to stay where we are? Because you can't be positive if you don't want to be. Being positive is a choice if it's not installed in you. For me, I grew up very fortunate. I grew up with that. A lot of people don't. And a lot of people who are not used to it will sabotage relationships. Well, people sometimes are afraid. Like I said, people start to become envious and jealous. You don't have to be envious. You don't have to be jealous if you realize that you didn't grow up a certain type of way, but you can change it. You have to make the decision. That's the first thing you have to do. The second thing you're doing as you realize what you want to do in life is how certain negative situations affect you. So we have to unpack. When you're unpacking, you're going to grieve. Grieving is not a one size fit all. It could take days, months, weeks, years. It depends on what you're able to do. When you're unpacking these negative thoughts and these negative emotions about yourself and this lack of awareness, we have to go to the root. So for example, I've never been bullied before, you guys. I haven't. I have not. I've never been bullied directly. Has there been shady men and women? Yes, but they did that off of jealousy, and I'm not confronting one-sided beef. I've never had an issue with them. How they feel has nothing to do with me, and it's a reflection of them. So you need to realize when people are bullying you, how did it make you feel? Most importantly, do you believe that about yourself? Because a lot of times the negative thoughts, like I said, comes from installation. It comes from influences. It comes from our parents, unconsciously or subconsciously. It comes from the people at our school making fun of you and bullying you. When people were shady and rude and disrespectful, and I know I did nothing but be a good person to them, I didn't have to internalize that, but a lot of people who are not me, a lot of people who are not genuinely confident and confuse it as arrogance will allow what people say about them to be true. If somebody called you ugly, that is their opinion, but that doesn't mean that you have to receive it or that is true. If you don't think you're ugly and somebody calls you ugly, that's just how they feel. And a lot of times them calling you ugly is a reflection and deflection of themselves. So in order for you to think positively, you have to be honest about the negative thoughts. And in order for you to do this, I want you to get a pen and paper, and I want you to write down or let me know in the comment section or just whenever you have the chance, address certain things that you feel negative about yourself. And I want you to ask yourself yes or no if you think it's true. The reason why this exercise is important and is effective is because when you are able to talk about your negative thoughts and your negative feelings and you're able to identify if they're true or not, you then can either come up with a solution or you can accept them for what it is. You either have control over your situations or you don't. So if you don't feel ugly about yourself and you acknowledge it and you answer the question, do you think you're ugly? And you say no, you then now, like I said, can work on, okay, where did this idea of me becoming ugly come from? Did it come from, me actually feeling ugly about myself? Or did this little girl in second grade call me ugly? Did this boy call me ugly? Did my mom call me ugly? Did my dad call me ugly? Like, the whole purpose of our mental health is to impact the suppressed trauma. You have to realize that the power of the tongue is true. And the second thing you have to do in order for this to be effective is practice this. If you're not practicing this daily, it's not going to work. You're going to think it's cliche. You're going to continue to be envious of people like me and people who are wanting to be there for your life, because everyone's not out to get you. Everyone does not have a hidden agenda. Everyone is not a bad person. Unfortunately, the reason why a lot of corruption and division is shown and advertised is because genuine people are not using their platforms, like myself, which I am, and other people think it's okay when it's not, because there's no education. People are not learning. People are not unlearning. Just because you've been exposed to people being mean to you and taking advantage of you, like I said, does not mean that that's who you have to become. Because the reason why people are mean and low vibrational is because not only do they feel this way about themselves, but they're not confident enough to not treat people how they want to be treated. But if you've never been shown how to be confident, if you've never been shown how to be assured of yourself, you're going to think that about yourself, and you're going to think everybody else is like that, and they're not. Now, of course, when you learn how to be positive, like I said, this doesn't mean that you're not going to experience inconveniences. This doesn't mean that you're not going to go through things. But when you practice being positive, when you practice identifying your negative thoughts, when you talk about what has happened to you in a negative way, you're then able, like I said, to realize the cause and the effect. Like I said, do you genuinely feel ugly? Do you have insecurities? And if so, what makes you feel this way about yourself? And that's going to be the next couple of topics in the next videos, is how to deal with our insecurities. But it's like, why do you feel ugly? Do you feel ugly because you genuinely think that you're not attractive? Or is it because, like I said, society, what everybody else thinks? Because in order for you to think highly of yourself, you cannot care about how other people feel about you. I've never cared about how anybody's felt about me, you guys, and I'm 28. I've been like this my entire life, and I will continue to be like this. Does people want to call me arrogant? Does people want to call me stuck up? You could call me whatever you want. I know who I am. I don't answer to you. And in order for you to think highly of yourself, you have to be okay with people having opinions opinions and making judgment about you. Who cares? You don't finance me. You don't feed me. You don't support me. You don't do anything for me. If you don't do any of the things that I said on my hand, why should I internalize, or why do you feel like your opinion of me is valid? You have to know that when you think positively of yourself, you are allowed to do it. I'm allowed to think as highly as I want as myself. I don't have to knock down other people. And that's what people confuse. People confuse confidence with arrogance. Arrogant people make other people feel bad. Arrogant people belittle people. Arrogant people try to intentionally sugar honey iced tea on people. Arrogant people go out their way to make everybody feel less than. Me being confident, me thinking positively, me making these videos, me having these energies, me having privileges that certain people don't, doesn't make me better or less than. Because a lot of times, from experience, because I've never been bullied before, when people try to do shady and malicious things, it just shows the insecurity that you have of yourself. And you're giving people like me unnecessary amount of exposure. So it's just learn to admire people. It's nothing wrong with admiring people. It's nothing wrong with seeing things that people do that make you feel motivated and confident. When you are not a hater, when you don't have hate in your heart, when you realize how powerful your tongue actually is, you're not out here saying negative things about yourself and other people. But if you are this way, you have to work on it. You have to acknowledge that maybe you do feel insecure about some things. How are we going to work on it? What are you willing to do about it? You cannot complain, especially with me. You cannot complain about the things that you want if you're not willing to make the necessary changes. Learning to be positive when you grow up in a dysfunctional household requires energy, effort, and work. I'm speaking from experience. I'm not surrounding myself with people who do low vibrational things. I've never been that type of way, and I don't have the patience as I grow older, because as you mature, you want a peace of mind. In order for you to have a peace of mind, you have to choose a peace of mind. You have to be at peace in order for your mind to be at peace. So it's just because people say do certain things doesn't mean that you have to involve yourself with them. You have to realize that in order for you to understand how powerful your words are, you have to know how powerful you are. So I challenge you, and you guys, this homework assignment is to spend time with yourself, and I want you to acknowledge things that you are good at and things that you feel confident in. And I also want you to acknowledge the things that you lack and you don't feel confident in, and I want you to list 3 things that you could start to do to work towards those things to make them better. Just because you grew up, like I said, not being confident, maybe not thinking that you're attractive, which you have to know that you're beautiful, because nobody is the same. A lot of people like to compare themselves, and this is a different topic within itself, and I'm trying to keep it all together, but you can't compare yourself to anybody else. Nobody looks like you. Even if you're a twin, even if you're a quadruplet, even if you're a triplet, you guys don't look the same. You guys have your own distinguishes. You'll look the same, but you guys are not the same. Nobody is the same. Moral of the video, more of the point. Stop comparing yourself to people. Nobody is you. If people are not willing to get to know you, like I said, if people are not willing to finance you, if people are not willing to support you, why are you listening to people? Because these people who think negatively about themselves, who project negativity, like I said, other than them being traumatized and not wanting to get help, are aware and they don't care. You don't have to listen to people who don't care about themselves. And it's not selfish. The only people who have a problem with me, or who ever had an issue, like I said, these low vibrational people, they don't think highly of themselves. That's not my job. They're either going to take the notes, appreciate me for being who I am, or they're not. People talking about you should not have no weight, because they don't do anything for you. The only time you hold up space for people to talk and place judgment or criticism is if it's effective. It's a difference between personal criticism and constructive. Personal criticism is an opinion. So somebody could say, oh, I don't like her wig. I don't like her eyebrows. That has nothing to do with me. My eyebrows are on my face. This wig is on my head, and you're not me. So you not liking how I look? That's personal. That has nothing to do with me. Versus saying, you know what, Ty Guidance, when you do your wig, you can learn to cut your lace or put the glue, giving things that make you become better. So if people are not making you become better, don't worry about them. So if you guys have questions, comments, concerns, give this video a big thumbs up. Make sure you're commenting down below. Follow me on all social media platforms. All the information will be down in the description box below. And if you're interested in the service and the session, head to my website at tyguidancedecember.com. But it's a lot that we need to talk about, and I'm on a roll answering you guys' questions. DM me if you're not able to afford a service, and make sure you guys are going live on my Instagram and on my TikTok until we reach our goal here on YouTube. But I'm ending off the video because I want to post the other video and I'm hungry. But you have to know that you're either going to be positive or you're going to be not. There's no such thing as toxic positivity. We're either going to be positive or we're not. We're going to practice or we're not. We're going to learn to work on our insecurities and our doubts. We're going to realize where this trauma is coming from. We're going to talk about it or not. Okay? Love you. Bye.